Next up was the hippo fish, hippo archer fish, level 4 artillery, high defense, ridiculously high water speed, good artillery damage. I wouldn't usually include two combat level 4s in an army. Usually I would maybe just do a loner or a flyer or something stupid like that, and to try not to spend too much money at level 4 and just skip straight to level 5 where you can make your strongest critters. But it's pretty good. Yeah, it can deal some good damage, break down fences if they're turtling, and yeah, it can be used at level 5 as well if they're using weak range or something. It's overall a pretty hardy and versatile critter. So yeah, here you can see I think 6 of just my hippo fish versus what is that, 5, 7, probably about 13 of his whales. Or a few of them are dead now. I mean, I die, like my critters die, but that was some pretty bad micro for me. And his were upgraded, way more expensive. I mean, mine half the cost, 6 versus however many there were. I took out a few. I mean, you can imagine if it was maxed, or if I had a few more, I could have easily taken them all out. So yeah, something to think about. Up next, we've got Pleurodon muskox. See from the stats: 402 health, 39 defense, 14 melee with horns, regeneration, herding. I mean, the unupgraded, the defense goes up to what, 57 and a half. Upgraded goes to 70 something. So yeah, really good meat, really strong. Camadon up next. Good mix of camouflage and digging. You can camo, you get the line of sight, you walk around, you dig under if you need to, you get the extra defense, you get to regenerate, move your troops out there, dig them back up, and they'll be in camouflage, walk back in and start the assault again. Last I did a so we've got the moose firefly up next. Unusual, not many people would probably use it, but you get flash, and you get horns, you get high defense. So if they're not expecting it, you can fly in, flash them, so the range won't be able to attack back. And you fly. If you're using them as a flash, only use like 1 or 2 flash, take them back out again. Send in your cams and your musks, maybe some archers if you got them. Try and take out as much as you can. If they're not expecting it at all, don't be afraid to just mass flyers and just rush them in there. Now the reason I called it untuned was because I'm completely finished with it. What you'll find is after you make an army, you'll use it, you'll test it out. A few critters might not work. You might want something else to complement the strategy that you're trying to use. For example, on second use, I didn't really like the level 4 melee, and I didn't really like the level 5 fly, so I decided to swap that out. I took out the level 4 melee and used a loner instead, panther / lobster. You can try it out and combine it yourself. And then I replaced the flyer with a level 5 melee. I used the Komodo dragon elephant, Komodo front feet and tail, and the rest of it was elephant, and good stats, pretty good level 5. But that's something you should do with all your armies. I mean, when you finish making it and you've tested it a few times, if you don't like it, go back and fine tune it. And it might take you a day, it might take you a few hours, it might take you a week to get an army completely the way you want it to be. And when you get to that stage, then you'll be happy. Another thing you should be careful of, the structure of an army. A basic army structure will go 1 level 1, 2 or 3 level 2s, usually 2. If you have 3 level 2s, usually only the 1 level 1. If you have 2 level 2s, you have room for 2 level 3s. And then a normal army will only have 1 level 4, and it will usually be something weird like a raider or a loner, or maybe a flyer, even some sort of cheap strategy anyway. And at 11, you usually have 3 level 5s at the end to give you lots of options in the late game. Ability critters is also something that is not usually implemented in your standard army. I mean, sure, they come in handy, but if you're a new player and you want to focus more on your economy, on your macro, on your micro, then ability critters might be a bit too complicated, or not your thing. However, if you do use them, they can be extremely useful, and often you'll find that people who do use them will sacrifice a slot somewhere to make room for it. I, for example, rarely use level 1s other than my Plague, which is my ability critter. Others might use, I don't know, Web at level 3, they might use Stink Cloud, sorry. They might have Defile at level 4 and then have Immune level 5, so you use Defile. So that's something you should keep in mind. Otherwise, if you are new, I mean, standard army structure will do. Have a few just good base units. Abuses, which is a pre-made army you'll get, is a good army, and you can base most of your armies off that, other than Scorpio, which is supposed to be level 1. It comes up at level 2 in this mod. Base most of your armies off that if you're not willing to experiment with abilities. Yeah. Counters. Natural counters, pretty obvious. Artillery beats range because it has area of effect. Range beats melee because it's range and it will kill the melee before the melee reaches the range. And melee beats artillery because the only way artillery can hit the melee is pretty much if they hit themselves because they have area of effect. So those are the natural counters. There are more complex counters. Things that counter range, for example, a leap attack, leap and charge, because they will charge in and leap in before the range can do much damage to the melee. Deflection is another one. I forget what it is, but a percentage of range attacks get deflected back to the user. Flash, I went over this in the video, but Flash blinds everyone, but this especially affects range because range can't use their range when they are flashed, and range's melee attack is usually very, very small. So yeah, that's really it. Digging, camouflage is also good against range and artillery because they don't see it until they pop up. Of course, counter for that would be keen sense. Keen sense can see anything that's invisible. But I don't want to delve into that too much because I'll be here for hours. They're just some things to make note of when you're making an army. Think, what am I probably going to come up against? If you think you're going to be facing a massed range, you might want to bring some deflection and maybe some artillery or something like that. I mean, you can figure it out yourself. You're not stupid, but yeah, that's just a little bit about counters before I go. I hope you learnt something from it. It's only the second one that I've made, and yeah, hope to see a few of you around. See you later.